Please join me in 合唱。皆さんの合唱お願いします。No more knobs, no 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 more knobs.
Good morning, everyone. 皆さんおはようございます。Welcome to our Bodhi Day service. The Bodhi Day service is a service in which we commemorate the enlightenment of the historical Buddha Shakyamuni. Approximately 2,500 years ago is when he attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. And so in the Japanese traditions, it is said that the Buddha attained enlightenment on December 8th. So around that time, every year, we hold this Bodhi Day service. And from this month, all our Shotsuki and special services now we're doing joint together, they're in English and Japanese. 皆さんおはようございます。ようこそ浄土へのお参りに参加していただきました。この浄土へというのはお釈迦様が約2500年前に悟りを開いた日を記念して、日本仏教では12月8日にお釈迦様が菩提寺の下で悟りを開いたと言われたので、私たちはいつもこの12月のだいたい第2の日曜日に浄土へのお参りを務めさせていただいています。また、今月から、小月、並びに大きな法要は、合同英語と日本語で、礼拝を行わさせていただいています。So we'd like to begin this Bodhi Day service with a moment of silent meditation.Followed by the recitation of the name of the Buddha or the 念仏。それでは黙想と念仏で今日のお参りを始めさせていただきます。
Next, we will have the reading. We're going to start off by reading in English and Japanese something that is known as our pledge, and it's on your screen. I hope it's large enough for you to see. For those of you at home, you should be able to see it on your screen easily enough. Those in your hondo, I hope you can read that. Do you need it larger? I can make it a little larger if you want. How's that? There we go. Okay. So we're going to read together our pledge. 英語と日本語で私たちの誓いを読ませていただきたいと思います。Our pledge. Breaking out of my shell, I shall carefully share a warm smile and speak gentle words, just like the kind Buddha. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance, I shall be open-minded and act accordingly, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Not putting myself first, I shall share in the joy and sadness of others, just like the compassionate Buddha. Realizing the gift of life we have received, I shall live each day to its fullest, like the Buddha who continues to emancipate all. それでは日本語で、私たちの誓いを一緒にいただきたいと思います。もうちょっとFor those who read the Japanese, please join me. 私たちの誓い。一つ、自分の殻に閉じ込めることなく、穏やかな顔と優しい言葉を大切にします。微笑み語りかける仏様のように。一つ、むさぼり、怒り、愚かさに流されず、しなやかな心と振る舞いを心がけます。心安らかな仏様のように。一つ、自分だけを大事にすることなく、人と喜びや悲しみを分かち合います。慈悲に満ち満ちた仏様のように。一つ、生かされていることに気づき、日々に精一杯努めます。人々の救いに尽くす仏様のように。ナマンダ。Next, we will have the sutra chanting. We will start off with the Sambujo. And Sambujo in this purple seiten is on page 89. And then following that, we will be reciting the Junirai, which you'll find on page 63. So in the purple seiten, it's 89 and 63. When we begin chanting the Junirai, if I can ask, starting from the people in the front, everybody could come up and burn incense. So when we start the Junirai, the second portion of it. Okay, so we'll start off with the Sambujo. Naman Nobs, Naman Nobs, Naman Nobs. それでは、言行三部上並びに12来をいただきたいと思います。三部上は89ページと12来が63ページになっています。よろしくお願いします。さ うやうやしく思みれば、阿弥陀如来は在業人獣の凡夫を救わんがために、他力栄光の本願を成就したまえ、釈迦如来出世の本願を表して、皆の本願を説きたも、七高僧は如来の勝意を受け継ぎて、世々にこれを検証し、宗祖親鸞上人これを教行心証に表して、浄土真宗と名付けたまえり、我今幸いに上人の化道によって真実の教えを聞き、大悲の厚愛を被って真の仏弟子となる喜ばしいかな。報じても報じがたきは如来の音読、写しても写しがたきは司教の音卓なり。しかればすなわち現象には仏祖の功を仰いで放射の大道を歩み、当来には往生の疎開を遂げて涅槃の妙化を昇仙。ここに本日スティーストン仏教会2022年度の浄土へ法要を言修し、無縁の人々相集まり、うやうやしく仏前を称言し、年頃に商業を独受して広大の仏頓を写し祭ら敬って申す。This morning we have gathered here in the quietude of Amida's temple to commemorate the 2022 Bodhi Day service, commemorating the enlightenment of the historical Buddha Shakyamuni. We faithfully recite the Nembutsu and humbly join our hands in Gassho. May the fragrance of incense teach us the purity of our intentions. May the beauty of the flowers offered remind us of the glory of the Dharma. And may the lights that burn brightly upon the altar lead our thoughts to Amida's eternal light of wisdom and boundless compassion that dispels the darkness of our ignorance. Namo. Please join me in reading the English translation, which you will find on page 70 of your Purpose 10. And I'll bring it up on the screen as well. The 12 Adorations, Junirai translation. Before Amida Buddha, whom Deva, heavenly beings and men worship, I humble myself in deepest reverence. In his wondrous land of bliss, surrounded is he by countless bodhisattvas. His golden form shines forth pure like the king of Mount Sumeru. His practice of truth is steadfast like an elephant's pace. His eyes radiate like pure blue lotus blossoms. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. His countenance is perfectly pure and round, like the full moon. His majestic light shines like 1,000 suns and moons. His voice is like a heavenly drum, yet like a heavenly bird, kokila. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Avalokiteshvara wears upon his crown the image of Amida, adorned with many precious jewels. He subdues the arrogance of demons and heretics. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Incomparable, vast, and pure his virtues are, clearly extending like vast open space, his acts freely benefiting all. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Bodhisattvas from the 10 quarters and countless maras, demons, always venerate him. He dwells with vow power for the sake of all beings. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. In the golden treasure pond where the lotus flowers bloom, established with goodness is a wondrous throne where reigns the Lord like the king of Mount. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. From the heavens bodhisattvas come, revealing wondrous powers. They attain blissful state. Honoring his face, they offer eternal homage. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. All things are transient and without self, like the moon on water, lightning, shadow, or the dew. The Dharma cannot be expressed by words, the Buddha proclaimed. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. No words of evil are in his land, no fear of evildoers, nor evil paths. With sincere heart, all beings worship him. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. His land of infinite expediencies is without degenerate things or wicked beings. Upon rebirth, non-retrogressive Bodhi does one attain. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Thus have I praised the virtues of Amida. Boundless are they like the water of the sea. Upon receiving these pure and good qualities, may all beings be reborn into his land. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
So, because last week I started with the Japanese Dharma talk, I'm going to start with the English Dharma talk today. 先週は日本語の法話で始めたので、今週は英語で始めさせていただきます。なので、英語わからなかったら、今、ちょっと、堪忍しても構いません。居眠りしても大丈夫です。また、後ほど起こします。So today, as you know, is our Bodhi Day service. And as I mentioned, it is commemorating the enlightenment of the historical Buddha, Shakyamuni. On December 8th, it was said in the early morning, it was said that he attained enlightenment. The whole story behind this is that the historical Buddha, he was born as a prince to a kingdom called Kapilavastu. He was born as Siddhartha Gautama. And for 29 years, he spent as the prince of this kingdom. But he felt that there was great suffering that existed. So at the age of the 29, it said that he renounced his heirship to the kingdom, and he set forth on a path to find the truth. And so for 6 years, it was said that he practiced what we call ascetic practices, very difficult practices, and he realized that asceticism was also not the way. So at the age of 35, he gave up the hard practices of asceticism, and he spent, it said, 49 days under the Bodhi tree and meditated. And it was said that on the 49th day, on the morning of December 8th, according to the Japanese calendar, it was said that he awakened or attained enlightenment. And so every year we commemorate this. And I was telling the Dharma School children earlier about my time when I was in Toronto. And one of the activities that I was fortunate enough to participate in was that near where we lived in North York, Toronto, there was a hospital, North York General Hospital. And it so happened that the chaplain there, when I was living there, was a very progressive thinking chaplain. And she actually invited local faith leaders into a chaplaincy council. So I was fortunate enough to belong as a volunteer basis on this chaplaincy council. And one of the events that we held annually was what we call the Festival of Lights. And of course, this was the main focus of this was that it was the time that the hospital did their light up of their Christmas trees. But they also wanted to introduce how light seemed to be an important theme amongst various religious groups or faith groups. And I was mentioning to the Dharma School kids about the Diwali, the Festival of Lights, and how Hanukkah and the menorah, and of course Christmas with the Star of Bethlehem. And then of course for us, it's this Bodhi Day, the time of enlightenment, recognizing the enlightenment of the Buddha. And this light is a little different. It's not a physical light, but it's the light of wisdom, right? So I was mentioning this to the Dharma School kids, but interesting enough, so we held this Festival of Light. I must have participated, well, a good 7, 8 years, I guess. But what was interesting was there was also a rabbi. His name was Rabbi Weiss. And I would only see him maybe twice a year, maybe 3 times a year. But we became sort of friends through these encounters. And I remember him saying at one of our gatherings, he leaned over to me and he says, you know, it's funny because we talk to the congregations, the congregants, the audience, and we tell them about peace and, you know, how we have to root ourselves and have to have a calm life. And yet he said, as spiritual leaders, we're probably running around the most around this time of year, so we're not living what we're preaching. And we both chuckled at that. And indeed, it is a very busy time of year. In fact, yesterday, we held our mochitsuki here. We made mochi here. And thanks to, we must have had over 30 volunteers out here yesterday helping to make the mochi, the rice cakes. Part of it for our New Year's. We put it as an offering for our New Year's. But also as part of for the Bonenkai as well. We make mochi to give as little souvenirs or gifts for people to take home. But So some of us were here from 8 o'clock in the morning and we finished around 7 o'clock at night. We must have I think we pounded about 150 pounds of mochi yesterday. So some of us are feeling a little bit tired this morning. So if you look at us, myself or a few who are here, you might say, oh, they look tired. But some have come back from bright and early in the morning again today to help prepare for the Bonenkai as well. But all of this is very important to us in our Jodo Shinshu tradition. And the reason why it's important is that when we talk about the enlightenment of the Buddha, when we talk about the compassion of the Buddha, one thing that stands out very much in Jodo Shinshu is to do it together. This sense of what we call Sangha, or community, is very important. The founder of Jodo Shinshu, Shinran Shonin, who goes to the right of the statue, he was in the monastery for 20 years, from the age of 9 to 29. He was in a place called Mount Hiei as a Tendai monk. And the life of a monk in a monastery is very different. It's very isolating. You're in a very structured setting, and the lay people do not mingle with the monks. Okay, so even today, if you go to some of the monasteries in Japan, the lay people could only go to a certain point, and beyond that point, it's only practicing monks who can enter. But what Shinran Shonin found was truly an isolating way of living. And he felt that wasn't truly the path that the historical Buddha really wanted. And the historical Buddha wanted to relieve all beings from suffering, meaning everyone. And therefore, Shinran, at the age of 29, came down from Mount Hiei, and this is where he encountered the Nembutsu teachings, the path that was being taught by what we call Honen Shonin, his teacher. And he realized that there was a path where everybody can listen together, where everybody can attain enlightenment together. And this was very important. And that's why when we have these things like the Mochitsuki or this Bonenkai, it is this community, sense of community, that is very important for us. It is an opportunity for us as community to listen to the Dharma together. And that's probably one of the most important functions of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, is that it's community-based, that everybody comes together, joins together. And so as we enjoy the Bonenkai after this, I hope that you will enjoy the oneness that we share and continue to listen to the Dharma together as we go forth. I'm going to just say my talk in Japanese, and then I'll close off at the end. 日本語で一言お話しさせていただきたいと思いますが、先ほども説明させてもらいましたが、この本日は浄土会という、ね、お釈迦様が約2500年前に悟りを開いた日を記念にして、毎年、大体ここでは12月の第2の日曜日にこのお参りが行われています。で、この、浄土会というのは、お釈迦さんがですね、まず生まれたのは王子として生まれたんですね。カピラバストという国で。そして、そこから29歳までは王子として生活を送ってたんですが、29歳になって出家するわけなんですね。悟りを求めて。で、35歳になって、6年間の苦行を得てですね、苦行でも悟りを得られなかったから、35歳の時に、菩提樹の下で悟りを開いたと言われています。で、日本のカレンダーではだいたい12月8日を悟りを開いた日と言われています。 なので、こういうお参りを、させていただいてるんですが、私も以前トロントで開教師をやってた時にですね、近くにあった病院の、チャプレンシーの、ボランティアチャプレンシーを、させていただいたことがあるんですが、その時にですね、毎年、大体この時期にですね、この病院がフェスティバル・オブ・ライツという、病院のクリスマスツリーの、明かりをですね、つけるイベントがあったわけなんです。で、その病院のチャプレンが割と前向きな方であって、ただクリスマスだけじゃなくて、多宗教でどういうふうにこの光っていうものがどういう意味を持つかっていうね。で、それぞれユダヤ教とかキリスト教とかヒンズー教とかですね、それぞれやっぱり光っていうのは非常に大切なんです。で、私たち仏教徒にとってはこれが悟りなんですね。悟りは知恵の光なんですね。それを元に私たちはこうやって参りをさせていただいているわけなんですが、その集まりにですね、ユダヤ教のラビが一人いて、ワイスラビっていう先生なんですが、彼と友達になって彼が一回私にですね、私たちが宗教家としてはこういう時期には平和とかですね、家族と一緒に過ごす時間が大切だとかいろいろ言いながら、実はこの宗教家としてこの時期が一番忙しい時期ではないかと、私たちが走り回ってるんじゃないかという、笑いながら言ってるのを覚えるんですが、この考えてみると非常に確かに忙しいんです。昨日もここで餅つきですね、150パウンド餅つきをしたわけなんですが、中には8時から7時ぐらいまでおられた方もいるし、その他に今日も忘年会があったりして、忙しい時期なんですが、この浄土真宗にとってこの皆さんと共にするのが非常に大切なんですね。この他の仏教ではよく出家の仏教宗派は、僧侶になってお寺でこもるっていう修行をする、励むわけなんですね。だから一般の在家の方っていうのは、そのある区切りまでしか行けないんです。そういうお寺でですね。でも、浄土真宗の場合は、親鸞上人の見教えでは、皆さんが一緒に音頭坊、音頭行、一緒にですね、共に問法してお念仏の見教えを聞かせていただけるのが非常に大切であり、だから皆さんと一緒に忘年会もするのもそこに非常に大切な意味があるんですね。で、私たちもこれから先、共にですね、お念仏の見教えを聞かせていただき、共に喜びを分かち合うのが大切のではないかということを今日、浄土へのお参りに、少しばかりお話しさせていただきました。I'd like to thank you all. For those of you who don't understand Japanese, you can wake up now. And I'd like to close this portion of today with a recitation of the name of the Buddha or the 念仏。それでは、お念仏で今日のお参りの文を終わりにしたいと思います。それでは皆さん合唱お願いします。Please join me in 合唱。ナモ阿弥陀仏。ナモ阿弥陀仏。ナモ阿弥陀仏。ナモ阿弥陀仏。This will conclude the service portion. We're a little early for those of you who are joining us for the Bonenkai. You can mingle around here. The Bonenkai will start at 12 o'clock, 12 noon, and I have to go and change into my other hat now, help with the kitchen. So thank you all for joining us for the service, and we'll see you over in the wisteria place. Thank you. ありがとうございました。And thank you to the people who have joined by Zoom as well. ありがとうございました。Thank you very much, everyone.